Hi, I'm Dean DeMarzo.
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
And you're listening to Relatively in Tune, where we talk to creative people and the people close to them. Today, our guest is Jordan Litz and his wife, Julie. Jordan is, I want to say, the longest-running Fiyero, or near to it. Done over 1,000 shows as Fiyero between the national tour and on Broadway. And before that, as a Disney cast member and all kinds of incredible things. We're very
swimmer.
excited. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Competitive swimmer as well.
Yeah.
Relatively in tune.
Yeah. I know your wife is going to join us later.
Yeah, exactly. She'll make her way down here. Greta's awake. Our daughter's name is Greta. She's a busy one. So we just got back from a wicked Broadway softball game. So that's why I'm wearing this.
What?
And so she didn't really nap that well. Yeah, there's a whole Broadway softball league. It's 70 years they've been doing this Broadway softball league. Julie Andrews used to play in it. Lucille Ball. George Clooney is playing this season. Like Nick Jonas plays for one of the teams. Yeah, so it's pretty intense. We have a good time with it.
How does that work?
We played by show. So Wicked has a team. We won the league championship last year, which was really cool. A lot of the long-running shows have pretty substantial long-running teams. So Aladdin has a great team. Lion King, Hamilton, Hadestown. A lot of the long-running shows have pretty decent teams.
That is so cool about the softball team. I know that's one of those things you never would even think to ask about being a thing.
I kind of got into it when I was working at Disney. I started a softball team for the Voices of Liberty, which is the a cappella group in Epcot. And all of the stages also have like their own team. So the Nemo musical had a team. The Lion King stage had a team. The Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular had a team. And so we would all like play each other in co-ed leagues or all men leagues or whatever it was. And so I got really into it at Disney. And then when I heard that Broadway had their own softball league, I was like, absolutely, 100%.
Oh, can you talk a little bit about Disney? Because we are going at the end of the month. We go almost every year now. We spend our honeymoon there, and now it's like a yearly thing. But we drive to Florida.
Yeah, we drive down to Florida every year.
But I would love to hear about your experience.
Oh, I loved it. I mean, it was incredible. I was there for 3.5 years. I started with the Voices of Liberty doing their Candlelight Processional contract for like a short, like three-month contract for them. And then they hired me on to the full-time group, and I sang with them full-time for 2 years. And while I was doing that, I learned other shows. I did the Dapper Dans. I did the Gaston at the Beauty and the Beast musical, the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. If you've ever done the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, it is like one of the best things on the entire property. And lots of other like random things recorded for fireworks shows and parades and all of that kind of stuff. I loved every second of it. And then I met my wife, Julie, there. And she was there for 11 years as a Disney princess. So yeah, it was a lot of good memories there.
Who was she best friends with? Like, what princess was she friends with?
Mainly Cinderella and Ariel, but she kind of did a lot of different things. She did Rapunzel, and she Cruella. Yeah,
that's an outlier there.
Yeah. That was in Tokyo Disney. Yeah, she was at Tokyo Disney for 3 years.
Oh, cool.
Get out.
Yeah.
I want to go so bad, but I'm afraid to fly.
From what Julie tells me, Tokyo Disney is the best Disney.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a big Disney lover, and I watch the videos on YouTube all the time, and it's just like a dream. All the food, like everything there is so
Gotta
different.
get over there.
I know. It's also so long. It's like a 16-hour flight or something. Like,
it's a trek, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. I have to ask her when she sits down.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you guys met at Disney. You're both performers
yes.
to begin with.
We never got to perform together because the singer equity world is a different world than the character world. It's like they're under two different unions. I believe it's like Teamsters is the character world, and then I was under the Actors Equity Association world. So we never got to be on the same stage at the same time, but we ran in the same circles, and my friends were her friends, and so we ended up kind of meeting through happenstance and not because of a show or anything.
And then going from there to the national tour of Wicked and then to New York, what does that series of moves look like?
Well, New York was always the goal. I went to Disney with the intention of joining the Actors Union and then going to New York and starting to pursue Broadway and that sort of thing. I planned to only be at Disney for about 3 months, and then I ended up staying there for 3.5 years. And but it was the best decision I ever could have made because I had this opportunity to learn other skill sets because I was really just a singer. I could act, but I had no dance experience or training. So Disney was a great opportunity to expand on all of those other skill sets and expand my toolbox, if you will. And then so we decided to move up to New York together. Julie had always had this dream of living in New York as well, and kind of pursuing that lifestyle of big city living. And we were only there for a short. Hi, Greta. Oh, there she is. She may throw in a hi, daddy, every now and then. So we moved up to New York together, and we were there for, I don't know, 6 months or so. And then I got hired onto the national tour of Wicked. We got married a week into my rehearsal process, and we thought that we were going to spend the entire like first year of our marriage apart, with me on the road and her back in New York. But then about a month into my run of the show, the pandemic hit. And so everything shut down for an entire year and a half. And it was sort of a blessing in disguise for us because it was a great time to get in with a long running show like Wicked, because it wasn't going in, and I had job security. And so I knew that I just needed to wait this out until we reopened. And sure enough, a year and a half later, Wicked was the first show to open in North America, and Julie and I bought a car and drove the country together, touring with Wicked for a year and 8 months or something like that.
What is that experience like? I mean, I cannot imagine dragging you on the road. I'm taking her on 2 short trips this year for gigs, for shows. We're playing in Atlanta next month, and then down in Dallas a couple months after that. I cannot imagine asking you to come on the road for a year.
Well, I can't. I have a full-time job, or I did. So we're driving too, so it takes a lot longer. Right. Like that's almost 4 weeks off of work that I wouldn't typically. That is
such a that's a heck of a first year of marriage.
Yeah.
That's a real
test. We were very fortunate in that after the pandemic, so many things went remote. So Julie got a job working remote. So the entire time she was working full time from 9 to 5, basically. And then I would go do my show at night. And so we'd have like a couple hours before I went to the show to hang out. And our dog came along with us. And this was pre-Greta, before our daughter. So we kind of were free to just travel the country together and work full time. And then on our days off, be able to explore these cities. And man, we had the best schedule. I wouldn't trade our schedule for anything. We played DC for 7 weeks. We were in Boston for 7 weeks. We were in Chicago for 10. We were in California for 9. It was just like the best cities you could ever travel to and perform in. Yeah, it was incredible.
How does that work being on tour? Do you stay at like a specific location? Because you wouldn't stay in a hotel for that long of a time, right? Would you stay at like Airbnbs, or you did?
Yeah, some people did. We never did, just because with the 3 of us, Julie and I and our dog Scarlett, we needed a yard for Scarlett to hang out in, and we needed a kitchen because we like to cook our own meals rather than going out to do that sort of thing. So
for work, sorry.
So how about I'm going to move over here, if that's okay, because Julie's like feeding Greta, and maybe we can kind of like do something a little. There we go. So she's the Airbnb wizard. I don't know. Tell me about your Airbnb skill set.
Yeah, I was kind of a high booking all these Airbnbs across the country, but it was so much fun. We got to stay in so many unique places. That's like what I miss most about tour life being back, is we just live in one place all the time, which is a good thing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We stayed in some like really unique places. So.
Yeah, that was the best part too. We'd go to like we'd go to like Arizona for a tour, and all of the houses would be adobe and very themed to the world that you were living in. And then we'd go to Boston, and we'd stay in this like 1750s like governor's mansion or something like that. So that was the best part. It's just really immersing yourself into whatever.
Yeah, we went like full force into every city, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was cool.
How many times have you seen Wicked?
That's a good question.
Honestly, I stopped counting at 30, which I think was,
Have you gotten to 30 already?
or is it 20?
I mean, you've done 1,000 of them. I cannot believe.
Yeah. Well, she saw it a lot on tour because we'd have like family come to see the show in whatever city that we were in.
Or friends that lived in that city. And if they were going, I was going with them. I wasn't going to let them go see it. And
Right.
then, how fun. If you enjoy it, I wanted to be like right there next to them, like to see their reaction. So I've seen it a lot. I probably
Well, I think you
know
saw
it better.
I think you saw it on tour 25 times. And I think you've only seen it on Broadway maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little different.
That's reasonable.
That's honestly not as much as I thought. Like for 1,000 shows, that's pretty good.
You also have to think that we don't get free tickets as performers.
You don't?
Every time she goes to see the show, we pay for it.
Wow.
So then it makes a little more sense, you know. Otherwise, I would go all the time.
I'm
Sorry.
shocked that they don't compensate tickets.
I know.
That's crazy. But
My
I guess
sister was like a social media intern at one of them, and she got free tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No.
that's
Nice.
No, we get discounted tickets. So we have like what's called the staff rate, and then we have house seats. Staff rates are like not as good seats, but the tickets are like $79. And then the house seats are like the best seats in the house, like 6-7 rows back, center orchestra, perfect. But they're usually like 150, if not more. So
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's still pretty good.
It's pretty good, but crazy.
But that,
It adds up after.
it really adds up after seeing it 30.
But
oh,
it's
I'm
worth-
sure,
Yeah.
especially
I'm not going to not
full
go.
family. Yeah.
And you recently bought a house, right, last year?
Yeah.
I saw an interview where you were talking about how you used to ride your bike or roller skate to work, but now you don't live in the area, right? Because you have a house. So how do you commute to work every day?
I take the train, but I still do bike a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'll bike from our house to the South Orange station because it's like a 2.5 minute bike ride away. It's very, very close. And then I'll train in from South Orange to Penn Station, which is about 40 minutes or so. And then I'll bike from Penn Station to the stage door or the Gershwin, which is another 10 or so. So it's a very active commute, which makes it go by quickly, but it's also an exhausting commute to do that. Yeah, 6 times a week.
Are you biking at like, by the time you get home, that's close to like midnight, right? Are you biking at midnight back home? Got to wear
Oh,
some
yeah.
like reflectors or something.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've got like a really high powered headlight and great like tail
Good.
light,
That's good.
like that. But yeah,
That's
I mean,
good.
it's not far, but yeah, I get, so like Saturday night, if I take the 12:34 train, that gets me home now. 1 for 2 or something like that. So
It's a late night.
yeah, it's a really late night, and then the turnaround to the matinee the next morning is tough. It's
Oh
really
my
tough.
gosh. Yeah. What's your call time in the morning for those?
So if we have a 2 p.m. matinee, we have to be in the building a half an hour before the show, so 1:30. It's not terrible, but if you think you gotta warm up your body before the show, warm up your voice, and then tack on an extra hour commute to all of that, it's a quick turnaround. And then it makes it hard because I don't get to see them as much as when you lived in the city. Because when we're in city, I lived on 72nd and Central Park, and I could be at the stage door in 7 minutes. And now it's not really that. So there are some sacrifices to be made, but the days off here are incredible. It's like a 90s Disney movie walking around in this area. It's so special.
How was that with having a family? And like when, maybe this is a harder question to answer, when did you know that you were ready to start a family, and what was the decision process in that, being in the entertainment industry? Because that's something that we have really personally struggled with.
Yeah.
being in the industry primarily. And I mean, I'd like to hear it from both of your perspectives, because I know as the woman who's not the entertainer in the relationship, that I may feel resentment or used to feel like I've had resentment if I had a kid, not having him around all the time, or, you know, feeling nervous.
Yeah, if I was on the road, like I was on a cruise ship for a year when we first started
right before,
dating.
right before I got married.
I mean, from my perspective, I felt like there's not ever a good opportunity because we go from gig to gig and there will always be another gig. So you plan your life around those, and you just have to make moves and trust that things will line up the way that they're supposed to. So there was never a good time, and there was never going to be like the exact right opportunity. So we had to just take the leap and go for it. And from my perspective, being the guy that's in the industry, it's not as tough to take time off to have that kid. If the roles were reversed, that completely derails Julie's career for not just the time that like Greta is born until she goes back to work, but also she wouldn't be able to, you know, go dance on a Broadway stage 6 months pregnant, you know, and still fit into her costumes and play like she's playing Glinda or whatever the character she would be. So for me, it's not as difficult, and we can kind of just make decisions whenever we want. But yeah, I don't.
But as you were kind of saying, it would be hard with them being a performer and not getting to be around as much. But you just kind of figure out our life is really unique. It's not the normal like 9 to 5 and then okay, daddy's home, it's the end of the day, or it's a weekend, let's all go do fun stuff on the weekend. But you just figure out what works for you and your family, and you know, we can do fun stuff as a family on a Tuesday afternoon that most people wouldn't get to do. And we know that when he's not here, he's working really hard so that we can have this life together, which we wouldn't get to have if he wasn't working so hard. And so, you just kind of have to look at it as we know our life is really different than other people, but it's also special and fun. We get to, you know, we bring Greta to the stage all the time between shows, and we hang out as she gets to kind of walking around the backstage of the Gershwin, which is really unique and fun.
And they come to like Broadway softball games, and then we have a picnic in the park afterwards. And yeah, it's really special.
Yeah, you just keep going with what's for you, you know.
Pivoting a little bit, you guys have both seen the Wicked movie, right? I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. So what were your thoughts when it came out? Because you were a part of this before the movie existed. What did you think when it came out?
I mean, I really loved it. I think I had really high expectations, having, you know, seen the show 30 times. I think I obviously know it really well, and but I still went into it with an open mind, and I really enjoyed it. I thought everyone did a great job. But you just really can't compare it to what you see on the stage all the time. It's kind of separate entities, which I think makes it really special, the way that, you know, they added different things. But yeah, I personally loved it. I can't wait for the next one. So
I only saw it one time, and I kind of don't want to see it again because that first experience was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
We had a private screening with our cast and the original Broadway cast and a lot of the movie cast. And so we were all like sitting in a room together like a month before the movie came out, and it was like this electric atmosphere. It was like watching a Broadway show. At the end of every song, we all stood up and went freaking crazy, and because we all knew the show so well, all of the like little ins and outs, every little detail that they changed, either we like cheered for or laughed at extra loudly or whatever. Like the experience was incredible. And I feel like if I were to go back and watch it again, I would sit there with a more critical eye and a critical ear rather than like remembering it from that like really great first experience. So I might wait until I'm done with Wicked before I go back and revisit it again, but we'll see.
There's got to be that pressure if you watch that version of Fiyero or that version of Wicked, like, oh, do I change this? Like, should I reevaluate how I am doing it, right? Like, there's got to be some comparison, even if it's subconscious.
For sure, there's absolutely some comparison. I will say, I don't know if this is arrogant to say this or not, but I left not feeling threatened by anything that Jonathan Bailey did. Not to say that I didn't love his performance. I thought he did an incredible job. But there was nothing that he did on screen that I could translate to what I do on stage. The deliveries wouldn't land on stage. The dance moves were completely different. The costumes were different. Like it was a completely different role. So I left, I feel so much more threatened by past Fiyeros and what they've done with the role rather than what I saw on screen, because he did an amazing job, but it's not the musical Fiyero, if that makes sense.
100%. I mean, even just the set, it was like insane. The ones with the swirling,
the rotating library book things. That was nuts.
Wild.
I want to know, on sort of a vaguely not really related note, the stairwell sessions you post on Instagram,
I love those,
are so cool. And
Thanks.
I can't help but notice like the immediate through line to your time in the Dapper Dans, Voices of Liberty, those kind of vocal arrangements. Where is that? Are you doing those vocal arrangements for the stairwell sessions?
That's all me. Yeah. It kind of started with MK and Ali. They were our standbys for the 20th anniversary cast. And so at intermission, we'd be hanging out in our rehearsal studio upstairs while the rest of the cast was like getting ready for the next change or whatever. And I had these harmonies rolling around my head for good for years at this point. And I was like, why don't we just sing it and see what it sounds like? And it sounded amazing. And I said, why don't we go sit in the stairwell and we'll sing it? And so I have this video, I'll post it someday, of us like just not in front of the iconic poppy field there. It's just like in a random spot in the stairwell way up high. But it sounds incredible. And we just got like these goosebumps singing this music. And so we decided to record it for real and then post it. And people ate it up and loved it. And so we thought maybe we'll do one more. And that was the One Short Day one. And that one went freaking crazy. And so we thought, okay, this is a thing now. And so we've been trying to do as many as we can, but getting the three of us in the same room at the same time is so difficult, especially now that MK is not in the building and she's about to go do a production in Maine. So yeah, getting us all in the same room at the same time is really difficult, but I do all the arranging ahead of time and send them plunk tracks and stuff like that. So when we show up, we can be as learned and rehearsed as possible. So, because we only get really one day to rehearse it and then record it. And it's about an hour to make it all happen. So because people like it so much, I feel like there's a lot of pressure for the quality to be really high. And with that little rehearsal time, that feels like even more pressure to deliver something really good in a short period of time.
That is such a like classic content creator paradox of this thing we did for fun, as a little goof on the weekend. Now it's serious pressure. We have to send the things ahead of time. We're rehearsing. We're like,
truly, I mean, we're talking. I had a lunch with my manager yesterday and we're talking about like producing a tour of Acapella stuff. And touring it around the country. It won't just be completely a cappella for an hour and a half. I think we'll work in probably at most a piano and drums to fill out some of the other songs and have some solo moments and things like that. But I think it would be kind of cool and really, really successful, but we'll see.
I wanted to ask, so you were in a Hallmark movie. It came out last year, so that must have filmed prior to you starting Broadway, right?
It started almost a year into my Broadway contract. So luckily, my manager and I have worked in outs into my contract for TV and film. So depending on the quality of the project and the length of the project, I can get out for a certain amount of time. And luckily, I've built up a really great relationship with Wicked over the past 5 years that they also want to see me succeed outside of the show, because they know that this will come to an end and that you have to continue on as a performer post Wicked life. So they want to see me continue to grow my career in that aspect. And so they were very willing and able to find someone to cover a leave of absence for a month. So last March, I left for basically the entire month of March into like a week into April to film that Hallmark movie.
That came out that fast, that turnaround?
Oh, yeah.
They've got that down to a science.
Hallmark cranks. We recorded the entire thing in 15 days. We had 15 shooting days. And that's including everything in the movie it's a Broadway themed movie. So it's about like two aspiring Broadway performers, one that's a writer, one that's a performer. And so I was the writer, and everything that you saw music wise was live on set. The piano playing, the instrument, the vocals, everything was live there, which was like a lot of pressure because we didn't get very much rehearsal time. And I think they were wildly underprepared as far as like how intricate putting together arrangements and then recording them, not just audio, but visually and really selling it. But it came together really well.
That's a massive, insane undertaking. I mean, that's the kind of thing. When Les Mis was coming out, the movie, they were like, they recorded this live on set. And that was like unheard of that they did that.
It's like a Wicked thing now, right? Because like, I mean, and everybody involved in Wicked seems to be doing something like that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, for sure. Well, and you know that when movies say recorded live on set, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt nowadays, because there's so much that happens where like maybe the wind blew too hard and like the mic picked that up or something like that, or somebody dropped the dish in the background, and you're gonna have to go back into the studio and re-record a lot of things. So live on set is a very loose term. But I will say, in our Hallmark movie, we did not go back into the studio and re-record anything. It was
That's
all
incredible.
Right there, which is for better or for worse. There were some things that maybe we could have done a little better.
And Julie, what was your perspective on seeing him in a movie, like on TV, just turning on the TV and there he is, like?
I mean, I was so excited for him. I mean, who doesn't want to be married to a Hallmark singing movie star? But yeah, it was so exciting just getting to see him do something different. And I mean, yeah, who doesn't love Christmas? I never really watched very many Hallmark movies. Everybody knows about them, but really, I mean, you only see one or two and you know all of them. I mean, but they're great. You love them all.
It's a good format. Yeah.
And it was so fun. And my family went crazy for it. They like had a whole movie.
They rented out a movie theater.
I think. Yeah, my mom was probably the biggest fan.
I mean, they rented out a movie theater. They had like candy and popcorn stands,
life-size
cutouts of my face, and it was insane. Yeah,
but yeah, it was so fun. So
I would say that one of the hardest things about that was leaving them for a month, because at this point in Greta's life, so much changes that like when I came back, I felt like she looked like a completely different baby. So that's one of the challenges, I would say, of this industry, especially TV and film in particular, is when you go away on set for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, either they come with you and they live your life for a while, or you just don't see them and they completely change by the time you come back.
That had to be hard. She was under a year, right?
Yeah, she was
6, 7 months.
Yeah, she was tiny.
Yeah.
But we faced.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, modern technology, you have FaceTiming abilities and things like that, so that makes it much easier. But yeah, maybe the next one you guys will come along.
We'll sang along. Yeah, now that she's a little older, make it much more relaxing for you.
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask how because you're the longest running VR, is that true?
It is. Yeah.
How does that work? So I have no understanding of how Broadway works and contracts and everything. How do you get the opportunity to be the longest running Fiyero?
I think a lot of people think that it has to do with being able to sing that one high note really, really well, or deliver that one line better than anybody else. And I think it's so much more than that. It comes down to consistency and reliability and how you treat people backstage and your relationships with directors and stage managers and producers. And I think that is one of the reasons that they have kept me around for so long. Is yes, what I do on stage is good, but I think they value me more off stage and what I bring to the company as a human being more than what I do as a singer and as an actor. Because there are a lot of great guys that can be Fiyero. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of guys that are dying to be Fiyero, but I think they liked my reliability and my consistency and the fact that I love this show. But as far as the details go, usually principals are on a 9 to 12 month contract. They've been doing consistently a year recently, and then they'll have a cast turnover altogether once a year. So this last March, our Elphaba, Glinda, Morrible, Nessa, and Bach all left. And we got 5 new principals. And just me, the wizard, and Dr. Dilliman stayed on. And the year before that, everybody but me and Dr. Dilliman left. So I'm going on my 3rd year along with Dr. Dilliman. He and I have stayed for 3 years now. And again, I think it's just because, Bill, who plays Dr. Dilliman, is reliable. He loves his job. He treats people with respect backstage, and that goes a long way. I think more than your talent on stage.
That is always the recurring answer. Whenever we ask any kind of like, how did you get here? How did you get this gig? Just be cool to be around.
Yep.
Because being reliable, but also the energy backstage. I mean, if you're a jerk to one of the other actors, that's going to have a ripple effect through the whole performance. You can't.
Well, and Julie won't brag about herself, but she is the sweetest human in the world, and the reason that she had such an incredible career with Disney is because people just wanted to be around her and wanted to work with her. So they would cast her in every parade and every show and Fantasmic and use her for big media and press events and things like that, just because she's beautiful and talented and everything, but I think they wanted to just be around her, which is, I think, the most important thing.
I would love to know more on the Disney princess side of things. That gig has always been fascinating to me from the sheer amount of like improv you're required to do.
Yeah, it's...
This is Greta.
Yeah, thank you all for using the friends with terminology. He never uses that.
Oh, I break that rule all the time. Sorry.
Even after I'm long gone, I'm still like, no, this is what it is. But yeah, you go through training and everything to generally know, how it interacts with the kids and everything. But it's so magical. I mean, I'd started with a 6-month college program there, and I thought that was going to be it. And then suddenly 11 years went by and I was still there, but it worked out great because I met this guy.
Right at the end too.
Right at the end. Yeah. It was a very
wow.
We were coming in, I was leaving, and it was perfect. But yeah, it was the most magical. I loved it.
Well, did you have an acting background going into it?
No, not at all. I just went to an audition. I danced growing up, so I think that kind of helped with getting in and doing dancing roles and shows and things like that. And of course, I always grew up loving Disney. And, when I went there when I was 4, I said I want to live at the castle, but what 4-year-old doesn't? So I just kind of went to an audition on a whim, but really I wanted to work in costuming because I went to school for fashion. So that was kind of what my idea was. So I went to interview with that. And then they said, well, why don't you go to this audition? And then suddenly there I was, and I couldn't leave.
Pivoting back really quick. So your building in the basement now is Just in Time, which we just saw. Have you seen it yet?
Oh, cool. I haven't gotten to see it yet. No.
I'm dying to see it.
No? Oh, you have to go.
Yeah,
but they make jokes all the time about you guys.
They do joke about being in the basement of Wicked the whole time.
I've seen a couple of clips. Yeah. Actually, there were a couple of people that we played Anne Juliet today at Broadway softball. And a couple of their players also play for.
No, they merged. The teams merged.
Oh, they merged the teams. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there were a lot of them. Yeah.
got it. So it was like Anne Juliet and Just in Time were like a joint team. So they were talking about the Tony nominations that came out today and all of that. This is pretty stoked.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm like a huge Lawrence fan. So Gracie Lawrence being nominated was like a big
Yes.
deal for me today.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Her voice is ridiculous. She sounds incredible.
Yeah, very cool. I was very excited to see it, but you'll have to see it because I love that whole area, the whole
There is
theater.
not a bad seat in the house. It is like
Yeah.
the whole place is the stage. It's such a cool room. I'd never been there.
But it's cool that it's in the basement of another theater. I don't know that I've seen that anywhere else, right?
And that's Broadway. They're all stacked.
Are they really
Up on-
stacked like that?
Not always, literally, but
Well, the Gershwin's pretty
it's
big.
tight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure
Yeah.
that it's technically in the basement, but they make that joke because it lands really, really well. But it is sort of in
It did.
like the same building.
Like showing
say.
at Elphaba all over the building. And
Yeah.
Is there anything new you're working on? I mean, obviously still running with Wicked, but you mentioned talking about a potential Oz Cappella tour. Are there any other musical outlets you have going on? Any songwriting or anything?
We're attempting to do more in the TV and film world at the moment. So as far as doing more music stuff outside of Wicked and Oz Cappella, I've found I'm pretty full up on as far as like being stretched thin with my time constraints. So yeah, we're trying to dive more into the TV and film world because I love acting and I've done a lot of singing and I do love to sing, but there's a lot of, I don't know how to explain this, but there's a lot of pressure that I feel on my voice that I don't feel as an actor. Acting feels so much more free and fun, and I feel like I can make choices and make mistakes and experiment with things in a way that I can't with my voice. And maybe that's just Wicked, because Wicked is like this freaking green machine that is like it knows its formula and they know exactly what they want and you don't deviate outside of this little box. So maybe I just need to get out of Wicked at some point. But yeah, as of right now, we're trying to do a little bit more TV and film stuff. So I have a couple of things coming up, one in early 2026 and then maybe something this summer if it lines up. Yeah.
Well, you're our first actor on our podcast.
Yeah, you're the first actor we've had.
Oh,
Everyone else
that's
has been
fun.
musicians.
Yeah, we're trying to expand out.
Branching out.
We have a couple of other people lined up, but you're our first.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
exciting.
that's cool. I'm honored. I'm glad I could kick it off. Hopefully you guys get some more. We'll get Gracie Lawrence in here. That'd be pretty sweet.
that is my dream. I'm really trying to get Clyde. I don't know.
Look,
see.
I
We'll
mean,
see.
I'm right next door and we bump into each other all the time. So who knows? Maybe if she comes out to Broadway softball, I'll make a.
Listen,
I'll drop a
she
hint.
didn't stage door. Not that
You
there's
know,
expectations, but
I'll talk about the stage dooring thing for a second because it's kind of become such a huge thing. Whereas in the old days, it didn't used to be that. Pre social media, pre-internet, you would go to the stage door and you got to have a really cool experience with an actor that you looked up to. And now it's about the autograph and it's about the selfie. And I stage door at least the first 2 years that I was on Wicked, every single show. I maybe missed stage dooring like 10 shows in the entire year. It's gotten a little bit more challenging now that I live out in South Orange, so I'm kind of like I'm a slave to the train schedules, but I will do like 6 out of the 8 shows during the week. It's not required of us. They don't ask us to. A lot of shows actually encourage them not to because it's become so crazy and the fandom around stage dooring has become so out of control. I really love to do it because I was that kid that was a swimmer growing up that wanted to meet Ian Thorpe or Jason Lezak or whatever those guys were that you were looking up to, that you wanted to be like. And so if you get an opportunity to like get 2 words of advice from someone that you look up to, that could change your life. I try to do it every chance that I get. And Wicked Stage Door is very respectful, but I don't think we don't have quite the star power that like a Jonathan Groff does. I know that Jonathan Groff does not stage door. That is his rule. And there are a lot of stars out there that don't stage door because it gets too crazy. And it could be a 20-minute thing, or it could turn into an hour and 20-minute thing with people that are just like pushy and bossy, and they don't actually want to have a human interaction with you. They just want to have a picture with you for clout. And that's just
that transactional.
Yeah, it's very transactional, and it really rubs actors the wrong way. And I know that there are a lot of actors out there that just don't stage door anymore for that reason. I think Jordan Fisher doesn't stage door anymore because it's gotten out of hand. I hope that I never get to that point to where my career has taken off in such a way that I feel like I can't stage door, or I get so turned off by it that I don't want to do it anymore. Because right now it's really rewarding. And especially after 1,500 shows of Wicked, going to meet the people that love our show reminds me of why it's special. Because it can become monotonous after that many performances. But when I see the little girls dressed up as Linda, and I picture Greta going to see it for the first time in like 5-6 years, it really reminds me of how cool it is.
Yeah. That makes
so sweet.
So much sense. And we try to go, to stage door if we're able to. And there are people behind us who are like pushing.
There are people who have it like down to a system, and that just feels, I don't blame anyone for not wanting to go out into the night after a long show.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know that it's kind of become standard and canon that Elphabas don't stage door anymore. The last few Elphabas have kind of made it a thing, and they just don't do it. Yeah, it's pretty common that Elphabas never stage door because of the vocal demands of the show. Look, I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's the hardest role on Broadway, in my opinion. Not necessarily vocally. It is very challenging vocally, but the pressure on the role is what makes it so difficult. And it's such an isolated role, and you're green all the freaking time, man. Like even when you take a shower after the show, you're still green. I still have green on my hands right now, and that's after a shower.
I would just put green sheets on the bed just to be safe. Like,
dude, a lot of them buy green towels and things like that, and like just buy green clothes and all of that, just because their hairline's constantly green. They're green all the time, so to have to deal with that, and the isolation of the role, and the pressure of those big notes that everybody comes to see, I would never wish that role on anybody. So I totally get why they would avoid the stage door, just to save their voice and save their emotions and all of that.
We saw Mary Kate get Grainified at
Comic-Con.
At Comic-Con, because we're friends with somebody who works for Playbill, and he saved us seats up front so we could see her, and it was
we got to see her go through the costuming process. That was fun. And I got to play a show with Jessica Vosk.
Yes, you did.
Last year. Fun.
Jessica Vosk is a freaking monster, dude. She's so good.
She's amazing. She's so nice to play with. Yeah.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, because obviously we were just talking about how vocally challenging it is to do 8 plays a week. So it is for sure. Look, Fiyero is a princess track. I know it. Everybody knows it. It's I like it personally because you get a lot of glory for a lot less work. So I'm happy to carry the mantle of the princess track. But yeah, it still is challenging to show up every single day, 6 days a week, 8 shows a week, 52 weeks a year, and have people pay $400 for a ticket. And you have to, no matter what kind of condition you feel like you're in, vocally, emotionally, you have to turn it on and deliver something, especially now that the movie has come out. Like, you're held to this standard of that's what people expect when they come to see the show. And you have to do that way more than the movie people ever did. They did that song one time. We've done it 1,500 times. So
just something that occurred to me when you were saying the Hallmark show shot live, they could only have done that with Broadway actors. You couldn't do that with a studio musician who, I'd be screwing up every third take and then say like, okay, can we auto-tune that? Thank you.
I think you give yourself more credit than that. I think you'd be just fine. But I think that is the reason that they cast Jenna Claire and myself, because we were Broadway performers and we know how to, under any conditions, deliver a live performance, regardless of whether we have monitors or in-ears or anything like that. we were going to make it happen. So
I was going to ask, I wanted to ask this so quickly. What is the monitoring situation like on stage at Wicked?
I hear just fine. I'm not listening for monitors. I'm listening for anything acoustic, anything that I can hear naturally. So when I'm trying to blend with Glinda or Elphaba, I'm trying not to listen to what I'm hearing in the house or from the monitors. I'm trying to hear what's coming out of her voice right in front of me. And the same goes for the orchestra. I'm trying to hear what's coming out of the pit. Now, granted, you can only do that to a certain extent. For instance, our drummers are in closets off stage, way off in the distance, and they're playing via monitor that's pumped through the house. So we have to listen through the monitor for that aspect of it. But I try not to listen to what's coming back at me through the house because I feel like it gives me a false sense of what I'm actually sounding like. But fortunately, I feel like the sound is really, really good in our house. We have great sound techs that have been mixing the show for years and years and years. And one of them, Jordan, has been mixing the show since opening day. So they know the space, they know the sound, they know, and granted, some things have changed over 22 years of Wicked, but it's still the same show, and they know how to give us what we need to be successful.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to promote other than like go to Wicked?
Nah, no. Wicked doesn't need my help. Are you kidding me? Wicked's just fine. No, I mean, at some point, there will be other projects down the line, but right now I'm just, having a good time, and I just want to work and be happy and be able to pay my mortgage and spend time with my family. That's why I work.
100%.
Well, Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Julie for joining us as well. This has been Relatively In Tune. If you like what you heard, you can find us at Relatively In Tune Pod. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Until next time, I've been Dean DeMarzo.
And I'm Tori DeMarzo.
See you next time.